Welcome everybody to our July Lunch and Learn. And this month we're featuring our social sellers in the wild. So we've got some awesome social sellers that use Denim Social, and Denim Social working here, we see a lot of cool posts every day. So we thought, how cool would it be to share with all of our customers some post ideas? So we went out in the wild and dug up some great examples across our customer base to give you guys all a taste of how others are achieving an awesome content mix to fuel their social selling strategy. And we even brought one of these social sellers on to talk with us about how she approaches her posting. But before we get into that, I've got a few housekeeping items. So first off, we're going to send everybody this deck and recording out in the next day or so after the webinar. Make sure you're asking questions in the chat box, or even just share ideas for posts that you have seen or have come up with. Reminder to follow Denim Social on social media if you want more fun examples. We're going to start sharing more fun stuff from our customers. And lastly, a little fun call out that if you know somebody who posts great content, or if you're that person that posts cool stuff, reach out to us to be featured in our next Social Sellers in the Wild webinar. All right, fun stuff. So let's do a quick intro. My name's Taylor Hanson, Director of Customer Experience. I work with hundreds of social sellers to help them fine tune their social selling strategy. Connor, I'll pass it to you.
Hi, everybody. I'm Connor Phillips. I'm the marketing manager here at Denim Social, and I support the team with all things marketing and communications.
Awesome. And lastly, our special guest, Jennifer Spoelstra, and she's going to talk throughout the webinar, the different types of content that she posts. And then at the end, she'll dive into her strategy. So Jen, can you briefly tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hi, I'm Jennifer Spoelstra. I am a mortgage loan representative at People's Bank. So my office is located up in Ferndale, Washington. So just a couple minutes from the Canadian border up on the I-5 corridor. I service all of Washington state, but my key market is in Whatcom County. I am a second generation People's Bank employee, so it's very near and dear to my heart as an organization, and just happy that I can share maybe and give you guys some tips on how you can be successful with your own social media strategy.
Thanks, Jen. We are so excited to have her on today. I'm so excited to show you guys her posts and have her talk through those. But first, we have a few things to go through.
Yeah, so just a quick recap. Some of you have probably seen this before if you've been to our other webinars, but this is our Denim Social philosophy when it comes to posting on social media. So we call this an informed and healthy social media feed, and it just comprises of posting content from a variety of sources, which we're going to look at today with our examples, listening to conversations and trends that are happening on social media, being flexible and adaptable in your approach to how you post and what kind of content that you come up with, and then always analyzing and adjusting so you know how things are performing and how you can do better going forward. And then throughout all of these best practices, just a reminder to be really authentic and relatable to your audience.
Mm-hmm. Authenticity.
Yes. And this is getting into what kind of content you should post and how to have the right mix, which is also going to be kind of what we outline through all these great social seller examples. So for this, we're really looking at a mix of industry, brand, and then personal and community content. And for these, it's good to have maybe a 1-to-1-to-1 ratio of like what you post in a given week or a month. But even better, a great mix is maybe 2-to-2-to-1. So having for every 2 industry posts, 2 brand posts, 1 personal or community post. Of course, this is just a suggestion. It's good to just make sure you're incorporating all of these different elements.
Totally. And we'll go through a few different types today. We have, lots of customers doing different things, sharing a great variety of content types and sources. So before we get into those, I'd just love to ask you, Jen, what type of content, and I know we're going to dive into yours a little bit later, but high level, what type of content do you like to share?
I really try and think about what platform I'm using and then gear that towards my targeted audience. I am a big fan of Instagram. I'm not a social media expert by any means. It's not something that's ingrained in my daily life. And so for me, Instagram is the platform that I found easiest for me, which, videos, pictures, family shots, who I am, but then also brand content as well. Facebook, I've found it's been a really great tool for getting connected with my current connections, friends. Instagram I use for connecting with realtors because that's where I find realtors are really spending a lot of time right now. And then LinkedIn, of course, very like article post driven. So it really depends on the audience that I'm trying to reach of how I'm using those social media platforms.
Love it. Cool. Awesome. Well, let's get her started. We're going to go through a few different types, but first off, we're going to look at the brand type of content. So this is Justin Staebler from Johnson Financial Group, and Justin does a really good job of posting different branded posts. And I'm gonna kind of kick us off before Connor gets into why these posts are great. Johnson is one of the many customers that does a great job of teeing up a lot of branded content in their content library. They do industry content as well, but they've got some really nice branded content that's just easy for their social sellers to go and schedule out. So Connor, why do these posts work?
Yeah, Justin does a really great job of presenting his brand in a really positive light and an authentic way. And I think these in particular are great because it shows that you can share information about your brand without being too salesy or promotional. And it's really just more about highlighting the best aspects of the business and what your company does, and then also what your people are doing out there with customers. And you're still authentic, you're still personable, just like Justin is here. You'll see he has like a report that Johnson Financial put together. He has some thought leadership articles from executives at the company. And then he also describes some of the benefits they have for veterans. So it's showing how the brand helps their customers. So again, just really positive, authentic, and not overly, salesy or trying too hard.
Yep, love that. Cool. We've got another example of some brand information. The last one was more insurance based, and here we've got a mortgage group, Annie Mac Mortgage from East Brunswick. Again, some awesome brand content that they put in their content libraries.
Yeah, I love these, Taylor, because they communicate what the customer can expect when they do business with Annie Mac. And Annie Mac always does an awesome job of social content. And with these posts, it instills the confidence and trust through awards they've won, through reviews from real customers. So it definitely adds that element of legitimacy and kind of backs up their claim of being an awesome, mortgage brand to work with. Mm-hmm. And then the post on the left does a really great job of tying in the values and emotions that are connected when people do purchase a home. So it's always good to kind of connect those values and try to see a piece of content through the eyes of a customer, and even asking yourself what you would want to know about a brand, and then, spinning the content from there.
Oh, yeah, totally. Yeah. Awesome. Cool. I'm going to keep her moving to some industry content. So here we've got some people from the First Federal Savings Bank of Lorain. Connor, can you walk through like what their approach is here and what you like about it?
Sure. So we've moved on to industry content and industry knowledge. And this is really all about educating your customers and providing them with what they need to know about the specific industry that you operate in. And again, just like with brand, it's a good idea to ask yourself what a customer would want to know, or if you were a customer, the kinds of questions you would want answered, because not everybody's an expert. That's what you're there for, to, help educate and inform them. So from First Federal Savings, this is really valuable info about mortgage refinances, identity theft. We've got an article about the housing supply. So you can always connect this kind of industry information to current events, because especially in the financial industry, people are concerned about what's going on and it's really personal to them. So for banks, for mortgage businesses, really anyone in finance, it's a great opportunity for you to step in and be the person that kind of helps navigate them through, what they need to know in these uncertain times.
Yeah, totally. And again, just plugging that content library is that you can have access to a consistent stream of industry content through Denim Social, right? So you have your folders for brand, and then you've got folders that you can set up for industry content right in the platform. So I love how they mix that up a little bit. Again, we've got another great Annie Mac example. They just do a great job of teeing up a ton of content in their content libraries for their folks. I love how there's industry info, but there's also some fun graphics too along with.
Yeah, and this is a great example of how you can really visually display need to know information on social media. And you can make graphics like these if you don't have a designer or something in Canva. That makes it easy to present something that maybe is a little more dry or kind of hard to digest in a really impactful way that people can look at and know exactly what it means. And particularly if it's not something they're maybe super familiar with. So like you said, Taylor, the curated content libraries we have, that's a great resource to get started with industry knowledge, especially. But what you really want to keep in mind is to personalize anything you share, especially with an article. You can always add your own little touch in the captions, and that can make anything interesting. And it really helps you connect to your customers. So when you post these kinds of informational articles, just try to use the tone and the voice that you would use if you were talking to a friend and giving them advice.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
Yeah.
Great point. Connor, again, I can't stress enough how important it is social sellers access the content libraries that your teams have set up for you, because typically those content libraries include both industry and brand or company posts all ready to go. And then the question I get most often is like, how do I even approach personal content? Okay, I've already got my calendar filled out with these brand and industry posts. I don't even know where to start for personal. So this is my favorite part. I love going through these personal posts. And this is exactly why Jen is like killing it, because she does such a great job of mixing it all up. But this is so much fun. Connor, walk us through why Chris McLaurin's killing it.
And you're right, Taylor. Often personal is the hardest content just because you want to strike a balance of being like fun and trendy, but also professional. And Chris has done such a great job here. And he's really taken that chance to show his personality and be a little bit more laid back. And that's important to mix in with the brand and the industry stuff. And this is what's really going to establish that feeling of connection with customers. And it's really what social media is kind of there for. And then for producers, especially, it gives you a chance to distinguish yourself and make your own business shine as part of a brand. So you're not just, another number, but you're a very differentiated person and you kind of have your own personality and style. So with Chris here, we see a super fun mix. We've got his family on Father's Day. We've got a meme, which everybody always loves. Some of his client successes, it looks like, and things he's been able to do for his customers. And then also a local donut shop. Connecting to the community and your local area is a great idea and a great way to come up with some more of that personal and communal stuff. And these pieces of content really portray Chris as someone who cares about what he does, is involved in his community, and really thinks about his customers. And it's really a great balance of being fun, professional, and relatable.
Yeah, I love the memes. I can't get enough of memes. Jen, tell us, how do you come up with your personal or more human content?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think it's making it first and foremost easy. You know, we all have busy lives. I have 2 young children. I have a husband who's a firefighter who isn't around most of the time. And so it's making it very scalable so you don't get burnout. And then finding those moments of, you know, I'm comfortable sharing pictures of my children so long as there's no personal identifying information in there. So, you know, a picture of me on a walk with my kids in the community, or, you know, being able to think about, you know, intentionally capturing a moment that I could potentially share. It's really hard for me because I think that's the last thing when I'm with my family, is to think, oh, what can I do to take a photo of this? Because I love just being in the moment when I'm with them. But I do a lot of like thinking prior to, oh, I might go on a walk this week. Maybe I can grab a quick picture or a quick, you know, story of me walking that I can, you know, post to my stories on Instagram, showing me out in the community. Or, you know, oh, we're planning on going camping. Let's make sure we grab a photo, and then after the fact, I can post it to social. So trying to make it really easy, because it is hard. And I don't have a marketing team. You know, I have to do it all myself. So what are the ways, or the, you know, things that I can add to my toolkit that can make it not feel overwhelming? Because it definitely could get that way. So, you know, I try. I feel like I can always get better, but I think it's a learned trait. You just have to keep practicing and know that eventually it'll get a little bit easier the more often you do it.
I love what you said about taking a picture and then getting to it later when you have a chance, right? Like maybe just capture it in the moment. If you can't post it right away, it's fine. Save it for later and schedule it out, or post it later.
Yeah.
Love that. Cool. Thanks, Jen. We've got another one. We always say post pictures of dogs because people love dogs, but Kelsey is including, I don't know whose dogs these are, but I love it. Connor.
They're hers.
Those are her dogs.
Yeah.
Okay. You know, Kelsey. So that's great. I mean, people love dogs, right? They're fun posts. Connor, walk us through this one.
Yeah, a good thing to point out here, of course, is the dogs. You can never go wrong with pet or animal content. People will eat that up every time. But her first post I love because she is offering the audience like a little questionnaire about like building a house. And that is a great way to have a very interactive experience with your followers. So posing a question, offering a little quiz, just something to keep the conversation going. So asking rather than just telling. So that is a really great idea there. And then another piece of advice I think we've heard before is to pick something in your community that you're really passionate about or into, whether it's animals at an animal shelter or maybe a brewery or coffee shop you love, and go there, talk to people, share why it's great, and, you know, just really share the love in the community. And that adds a really personal touch that people appreciate.
Awesome. We did get a question that I think would be good to answer right now, instead of waiting until the end. And Connor, this one might be for you, and maybe me as well. And Jen, if you want to pipe in, you're welcome to. But any examples of big no-nos, like what you should avoid, especially for personal content? First off, I'll pipe in, especially working with customers all over the industry, non-compliant things, inappropriate jokes, isolating things that can make your audience feel uncomfortable. You know, when you want to make yourself feel approachable and like you are still very professional. So I'd say just blanket statement, keep it compliant and professional no matter what.
Yeah, I agree with that, Taylor. Always check with your compliance team and make sure that anything that's kind of spontaneous or very personal is okay. And my advice also is just to make sure everything you post is like a force of positivity and something that's going to add rather than take away. And just always, you know the brand that you represent, know your community, and make sure you're staying on the right side of that.
That's a great point. Jen, do you have anything else to add from your perspective?
I mean, besides protecting people's, privacy, I don't post photos that could tell you where I live. I mean, you can Google it and you could find it, I'm sure, but I don't post pictures of where my kids go to school. I don't, we were at a community event this past weekend and I grabbed a photo of my family and there was one boy in the background. You couldn't tell who he was because it was like a back of his head. And there was one boy that was straight looking at the camera, and so I think in those moments, it was a great shot that I wanted to use for the business, but, I had to go in and download a free app to blur out the face of the boy that was behind my shoulder. So really thinking about that lens too of,
Right.
if I am going to grab someone's signature to be able to post them out there, with the forms that we have internally, or is there a way that I can be creative to, blur out the boy so I don't have to worry about some mom seeing his kid on social media where she didn't give permission. So I think about thinking with that lens as well as with the compliant piece of how you're, saying those trigger words that could be potentially an issue.
That's a great point. I'm glad you brought that up. Awesome. All good info. I'm going to keep it moving to overall mixes. So, just as far as really doing a great job of mixing up content that you post from personal to industry to branded. Something that I love about Brad, he also posts a lot of brand stuff, but I wanted to make sure I included the industry posts because Brad does a really good job of finding industry posts in the content library and personalizing it, like Connor said. So, he likes to post a lot of travel, a lot of bucket list ideas, and then he'll tweak the lead-in language to be more personal to him and more engaging. So Connor, tell us more about this type of mix and how you felt about Brad's.
Yeah, Brad is really doing it all. He's mixing it up in a way that's great for the audience and gives a lot of variety. And really all of this is about just keeping things interesting and helping people stop the scroll, helping people want to know more about what he's saying. So here we see a personal post where he ties in his family with the holiday for the Chinese New Year. And you can see, like you said, Taylor, how he adds little personal touches to the articles that he shares. So he's always giving his followers, his audience, something to relate to. And that really highlights how any kind of post can be very individualized. And when you share something that's very informational, like a content library piece, you want to be able to analyze it and offer your audience some insight that maybe they wouldn't get just from reading it or just like kind of perusing a news article, and then tie it into what the customers need to know, whether it's related to your local community, current events, what's going on, or maybe even something that's geared toward like a certain group, like first-time home buyers or something like that, just to make it seem relevant and to help offer that sort of analytical piece that you don't get from just the article.
I love that. A different approach that we see is with the Corey Scott team at Annie Mac. This one was so much fun. If you do look at their page, Connor, I'm probably going to steal your thunder here, but this video of their daughters is just like adorable. So I love that they do little, they're talking about the product, but then they're having these videos of their daughter telling a little joke. It's just really cute. And they share a lot of fun, different content.
Yeah, it's maximum cuteness. So everybody loves to see that. And he also offers here some good, housing market updates, some things about events, which is another topic we haven't really covered yet. Anytime you go to an event, your company's involved in an event, whether it be a fundraiser, something in the community, that's a really great way to add a personal touch to your feeds. And something to note is when you mention people or organizations that you partner with or different places in your community, that's a great way to share the love and to maybe even find some mutual customers. And you can really be amazed at what tagging other relevant accounts can do to improve your own visibility and then to also help your engagement levels, because often there's overlap and you don't want to miss out on any of that. And then also for the Corey Scott team, these are great examples of how the captions don't need to be super long. You want to keep it kind of short and catchy. And of course, sometimes it's warranted to add a little bit more detail or to explain things fully. But for certain posts, it's probably not necessary. And you want people to just be able to read it really quick and keep it very concise.
Yeah, great point. All right, with 5-ish minutes left, I'm going to hop over to Jen's page. So again, I just love your approach, Jen. How does your personal brand, you've kind of talked about this a little bit, but how does that personal brand really shape your content strategy? And how does your, or vice versa, how does your content strategy shape your personal brand? Like, did it go hand in hand? How does that work?
I mean, I think it really did go hand in hand. But, I'm selling me, as someone's home loan expert. It's, them feeling comfortable with who I am, who I represent. I work for an amazing organization, so, which has a great reputation in town where we live. And so, it's, for me, my focus has really been on who I am, and then also my connections back to the brand. And I think it's the repetitiveness. It's constantly, consistently posting things so you stay top of mind. I've had friends that have gone with another lender because they didn't, realize that I was still in lending, or that I was in this role, and that's okay. But it's just a reminder to myself of, like, you want to consistently be on their feed so they see you and they feel warm and fuzzies when they think of, oh, I would trust her. I know her, I know Jen. And so that personal aspect is so much kind of intertwined into the brand as to who I am, and then also where I work too.
I love that. You said it earlier, you're really busy, but you have so many cute posts, like even the one on the left-hand side, introducing yourself. Like, walk us through how you did that.
Yeah, I think it's finding resources for yourself to make it easy. So I use Canva, but that post on the left, I actually found a content creator who's creating these amazing templates, and I purchased a template that I could go in and I could change what it was saying. I could make it personal to myself, and it's super easy. I am not a marketing design person. And so it's finding how you can alleviate that stress. I think I only paid $15 for that. And there was like hundreds of templates in there. And then same for, utilizing some of the free apps that are out there. I spoke about blurring out people. That app I think is called YouCam, and it's a free editing app. I use Lightroom, which is on Adobe for filtering. So I think it's utilizing those free resources that are out there to make your life easier. So it's not taking all day, because I do have to do my pipeline. I do have to talk to customers and do everything else.
Yeah, you are busy. Walk us through some of these other posts that you like to post.
Yeah, so I post a lot of industry content to LinkedIn and to Facebook. So the second one and the very last one on the right, that's utilizing our content library that's accessible, which those are easy plug and play. So they're just set for the month ahead. I look for the month and I will plug them in. So they're coming kind of semi-consistently through the month. I am not as great about planning my social or my personal, content, but that's just a learned skill. And so, it's trying to get better and keep making an effort in that regard.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. What advice do you have for somebody who's either just getting started or looking to give their social presence a refresh?
Ask for help. If you know someone who's doing a really great job, I'm always more than happy to help. I think it's hard for any of us. And so giving yourself grace and knowing that it's going to take a little bit of time and to not be overwhelmed. It's easy to get overwhelmed with all of this, but I think you can make it scalable for what feels most comfortable for you and still get the desired outcome. And move the momentum forward. I do think too, it's important to have time that you can refresh to completely get offline, to not worry about it, whether that be on a Sunday or on an evening sometime, and then bring that fresh energy back to it, because it can, for me, it gets tiring and it's overwhelming. So I think it's finding the right mindset to, like you said earlier, be optimistic, approach it with a positive mindset. Know that you're doing a great job, even if you're just starting out, but you're doing it.
Doing something, you're showing
Right.
up, reminding
Right.
people that this is your profession and that you are there to help them. And you're personable and human.
Right.
Something else that kind of triggers in my mind is that, even if you're just getting started and you're just starting to show up, like, remember that you're playing the long game, right? And I think you've mentioned something like this before, Jen. You have to remember that this is not like an overnight thing, right? So it's really about nurturing. It's about playing the long game. Anything else to add there? I think you've kind of said that, Rob.
I mean, the other piece that I would caveat that I would put on there for any lenders that are on the line is, I've mentioned this earlier. I found that realtors are really spending a lot of time and energy in Instagram as their space to have a broader reach. And with COVID, it's been harder to get those person interactions. The market has been crazy. So let alone not even worrying about COVID, but finding time to fit in their schedule. And so I think liking someone else's posts, showing them that you're supportive of their business, which they're trying to get their marketing out there too. So liking all of their posts, commenting, engaging, that for me has been a really powerful tool to cultivate those connections for all the new realtors, and then also keep those relationships that I had already established prior to, going to this virtual environment. It has been an incredible tool. And so I think even if you're not posting content, going on there and starting to engage is really, really powerful for your business. And then also just for networking and meeting more people.
No, people don't bring that up enough. And I'm happy that you said that, because social selling is not just posting, right? It's engaging and nurturing those relationships and networking with those realtors, because you never know when they're going to need to make a recommendation for a lender or insurance or whatever. So it's really important to keep those relationships strong. And really, I mean, if you see a realtor story, you can just like it or comment back to them like, great job. It doesn't need to be rocket science.
And it comes back to you too. So they start liking on your posts, they start engaging with you, which helps your reach. So it really is kind of that twofold, relationship in that sense.
Yes, I love that. I'm going to move on to questions unless you have any last things to add. No? All right, we've got a few questions coming in, so I want to make sure we can get to them. So the first one, love this question. What a fun little compliance question. Here is a copyright question. Memes are great, but they frequently feature celebrities or other images that aren't licensed to your brand. How do you overcome that once you put it on a business page and potentially becomes an ad? Connor, do you mind if I toss this one over to you?
Yeah, and this is a great thing to bring up. Always keep copyright issues in mind. Probably the safest thing to do here is to create your own. There are lots of free photo resources that you can use, like Unsplash or Pexels. So these kind of stock photos that are totally free that people can use, and then use like Canva or something to turn it into your own meme. I think that's probably the easiest, safest thing to do.
Mm-hmm. That's a really good.
Yeah.
Good. Perfect. Awesome. Thank you, Connor. Another question, what should Instagram captions include? Just hashtags, or does it matter?
Yeah, I think anytime you post something, you want to have something to say about it. And this goes back to keeping it short, concise, telling people what they need to know. Hashtags can definitely help with visibility. We have some blog posts and resources on our Denim social website about using hashtags that goes into a little bit more detail. But certainly, anytime you post something, you want to include a little personal touch with the caption.
Great point. Jen, any other insight from you on that? How do you feel about that?
I always use you. So I make it personal. When I'm writing a caption, I say, I'm your local mortgage gal, or, here's your family, or, your community. So you really tie it back into where they're reading it and they're not just saying like it's about me or it's about them. It's yours. So it feels kind of, warm and fuzzy. And I think the other thing that I would say about hashtags, maybe not directly related to the question, is they are a great source for finding other people in your community that you should be reaching out to. So, on my Instagram post on the third one, I have a couple different hashtags. What I do, and I spend a couple minutes a week doing this, is I'll click on one. So let's say it's Whatcom County real estate. And I will find other people that are using that hashtag and I will follow them and I will start intentionally engaging with them, because those are the people that are talking about the same thing I'm talking about, that I want to be a partner, I want to work with. And so that has been really helpful for growing my reach, and then also growing connections as well, is to kind of follow that, that rabbit trail of using hashtags for finding and identifying people who I should be reaching out to.
I love that tidbit. Thanks, Jen. Okay, last question, unless anybody else adds something. Is posting daily too much? Right now I'm trying to post 3 times a week. I think 3 times a week is a great start. Connor or Jen, I think either of you should answer this, maybe both. Connor.
Yeah. So I think just getting on a consistent basis is the main thing. And you don't have to post just for the sake of posting. You want to have quality over quantity. And also you can find some stuff on our website too. We have more information about the best times and days to post and things like that. There's some research behind that, but really it's finding a content schedule that works for you and your business more so than just posting every day. But Jen, I'd love to hear your input on that as well.
I mean, I follow industry experts on each platform, and, I do hear out there where you should be posting, multiple stories a week and posting multiple times a day. I mean, I can't keep up with that. And it's kind of, defeating to feel like I need to. So I think completely with Connor, it's finding what works for you and sticking with that and being consistent with it. I don't post multiple times a day. I don't post once a day. I'm probably 3 times a week, if that. And sometimes it's scattered between different platforms. I aspire to do more, but I don't have a social media team behind me. I still have to run business and run my family and all those other things that come into play. So yeah, definitely it's finding something that you can continue to do that you're not going to get burnt out doing.
Awesome. Awesome insight. Well, that is absolutely fantastic. I love all of that insight. And Jen, thank you so much for joining us. I found this really insightful and I feel like I can learn a lot. I feel like everybody can learn a lot from you. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I'm just going to do another shameless plug. If you know somebody who posts great content or that person is you, reach out to us. We want to feature you in our next Social Sellers in the Wild session. This last session was us just going out and finding people that were doing a great job, but we might have missed a few people. So, feel free to reach out to us. We love the engagement out there. So if you have any other questions, feel free to email Connor or myself. And then, like I said before, we'll send out this recording and the deck in the next day or so. I think that's it. All right, guys, enjoy the rest of your weeks and we'll see you next time. Thanks again, Jen.
Bye.